Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Topic. This week I've got the tinfoil hat back out, firmly in place, as I start scouring the internet for fake AI profiles. I'm Alex.
And I'm being fed artificial intelligence on my Facebook by artificial intelligence. I'm Dan.
And yeah, this week we are talking about all things dead internet. But that's not just a dead internet theory, which is it's an interesting theory, and we're not talking about necessarily conspiracy theories, or there's aspects. Not sure if you've read Internet, Dan. And again, listener, by the way, we haven't shared notes, so we'll learn together as a community as we go. But no, we're also talking about Chat GPT and how influential or troublesome it might be. We talk about AI art. You've got some bits on that. I've got stuff on deep fakes and bot users, and also the inversion point.
And hopefully some tips to navigate yourself around this stuff and spot what is actually fake.
Nothing like a good public service announcement here from On the Topic podcast.
Always learning with us.
Indeed. But before we get into that, Dan, been a couple of weeks since we've been on air. What's been up to? Anything exciting? Anything you want to share with us?
What have I been up to? Well, let's have a think. Watched a couple of films. So last week I watched Boss Level, which stars Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson, Naomi Watts. Quite a good film, actually, Alex. Very much enjoyed.
Bit gruesome?
Yeah.
Because I guess he
it's almost
dies over and over.
Weirdly comedic.
Okay.
It shouldn't be.
It's quite dark comedy, isn't it, I guess, at points?
Yeah. I mean, it does. I mean, every time he dies, his day starts again from the same point.
But he remembers.
So it's almost like a computer game, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's like when you die, oh, well, I've learned how to do it now. It's very much like that. And there is progression, you don't always have to see that same start to the film over and over. So every now and again, it'll sort of like just fast forward to a certain point that you've got to.
Yeah. And
then it sort of carries that story on. It is really good. I recommend it. You can get it on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And this week I watched Shooter, starring...
Mark Wahlberg.
That's it, Mark
Yeah,
Wahlberg.
That's one of my favourites. In fact, I remember spending many a hungover morning during my first year of university watching that. I think it's underrated. They did a Netflix spin-off TV series. Have you watched that?
No, but now you've piqued some interest.
Who's that guy? Ryan... Oh, he was in the 90s teen programmes. You're going to have to Google it, Dan. Use aptly Google the Shooter Netflix TV series. It's going to come to me. He was a heartthrob in the 90s. It's not terribly good because they're trying to flesh out what I think is a very fine and aptly appropriate 2 hours, 2:10 film time. Ryan Phillip, that's the one.
Philippe.
And he's okay in it, but as I say, it's not... They've kind of dragged it out. The film is really good. It's a nice political thriller.
Yeah.
They've clearly employed some very knowledgeable people to kind of tell you about ballistics and they know their weaponry, and I think it's a really good story. I think it's really well
really
run.
Good.
Really well done.
It starts off with Mark Wahlberg essentially getting set up, and then he's on the run. It's almost like that Harrison Ford film, The Fugitive. It's very good.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very gritty as well in places. You're seeing people get shot, and then you get that burst of blood. And,
and it has a very satisfying payoff at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think if we ever revisit a volume 2 of favourite noughties film, that probably will.
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually, yeah.
What else have we been up to? So Portsmouth Comic-Con's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
I shared some news with you yesterday, and you were like, what?
Yeah, there was a shocked face reaction on WhatsApp.
I've bought some spandex. I'm going to be going as Spider-Man.
Glad you said that, yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't too sure if we were sharing the right conversation there, but
no.
Okay.
But I'm not going as a gimp. I know that much.
Well, never say never, Dan.
Well, no.
There was one in Pulp Fiction.
There was, and if I remember rightly, Bruce fucked him up with a samurai sword.
Yeah, I think it was him. No, he did, and then he handed it over to the other guy who had been given, was it the ball in his mouth, and then he finished the other guy off, the policeman. Brilliant film. That's in our favourite 90s films? Or it wasn't our favourite movies.
favourite 90s films.
Yeah. Oh, that's an amazing film.
Oh, another volume 2.
Indeed. But yes, you're not doing that. You're wearing a Spider-Man outfit.
Wearing a Spider-Man outfit.
Very cool.
Cost a few bob. So it's got proper shoes built in. It's got the face shell, lenses. It's got a crotch zip. You know, you're going to be a con for a while.
These are practicalities. You know, all that beer, it's got to go somewhere. But you showed me, it's fully fitted, right?
Yes.
So this is new to me as well, listener. So I won't ask too many questions, Dan, because you'll share with us. But you go onto the website and you basically, the bespoke create it for you, right?
I mean, you can buy like the generic size.
Yeah,
sure. So small, medium, large. But you can also get it built to fit your body. So we did our measurements. You know, I got my...
Hang on.
All in inches.
You said we.
Oh, I got my missus to help me. So she hasn't actually got a costume herself.
I was going to say, did you not go a Ghost Spider version or Gwen?
No. I did try and convince her to try, because they did a Captain Marvel costume as well.
Oh,
which
yeah.
was quite cool. But she
Didn't fancy it.
She didn't fancy it. Yeah, I say it is a lot of money. And
It is.
I did...
It's investment, maybe.
I sold my drone recently because it just wasn't getting used.
No.
Needed a good home. And, yeah.
Got a suit instead?
Yes, I got that. Also went on the My Dog Size treasure hunt at the weekend. So at the time of recording, Easter weekend. He was celebrating 20 years as a local artist.
Mm-hmm.
Very renowned up and down the country and possibly around the world as well. He's got like 92,000 followers. Sadly, didn't find anything.
Boo.
No. It's quite sad, really, because I genuinely thought his intentions were actually quite well thought out. You know, he said, like, if you find a small bit of treasure, but then you find a large bit, swap it over so someone else can find it.
So different sizes.
So he had about 600 coins, and he had like prints and art that he'd done himself. He did some stones where he painted a water droplet on it. It's very intricate.
Okay.
Throwing stuff around. He had a team of people out planting these things, and I missed out on 3 coins on Saturday by like mere minutes. And it's quite sad because you see the greed sort of take over in people, because that wasn't his intention. He wanted people to go out, enjoy the city, you know, look around you, not down on your phone for these clues, just try and find things and look around you.
Yeah.
And that just seems to get lost on people, which is a shame.
But keep an eye out on eBay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to sell that stuff on eBay, then quite frankly, you're a dickhead. Don't profit on someone else's art.
That's
in
right.
my opinion, which is brutal. But I mean, he did the right thing, I think, yesterday, where he didn't post up any clues at all. He put the rest of the treasure out and he said, right, that's it. My message was quite clear. I'm not going to give you any clues today. You just go out, you enjoy the city, because we live in a beautiful city. We've got a lot around us, and just have a good time.
And hopefully people did.
I hope so. It was nice to sort of see people finding stuff, you know, especially kids, where you could sort of see them quite happy. So I was walking back from the seafront on Saturday, and we clocked 2 lads, only in their teens, and they'd found one of his £20 note prints.
Oh, cool.
And I sort of looked close. I went, Chick. Call my girlfriend Chick. And they found one of those prints. And I was like, lads, well done. You know, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But no, unfortunately, there were some people out there who were just monsters. And he did sort of post a comment that he got from someone where this mum and her kid must have gone out and they got abused by someone.
And that is why, listener, we can't have nice things in the world.
No, quite.
But hey, in the round, it sounds like it was a good, worthwhile cause, and a lot of people had fun.
Yeah, sadly, there are a minority that ruin it for people, but I hope it didn't ruin everyone's experiences like that. And that's how I genuinely think it was a good thing for him to do, to celebrate 20 years as an artist in his home city. And just sort of a bit of a shit sandwich, that wasn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. But no, that's it really, Alex. That's all I've really been up to. Otherwise, got the London Marathon and Belfast Marathon coming up at the end of the month. I won't be running it.
Yeah,
my missus will be, but I'll get to enjoy
spectating
the sights of London and Belfast.
Lovely.
What about yourself?
Just enjoying family life at the moment. It's holiday season here in the UK at time of recording. Just had a short trip away to Rome So the lovely Italian capital.
I saw your story. You were on a Segway going
Yes,
around.
on the old Segas.
Looked like the scenes from Jurassic World Dominion where the two carnivores literally eat someone. We talked about that, didn't we?
Malta, yeah. That was a very odd scene. But anyway.
We digress again.
No, I got on the old Segway. We've done it before in the city, but it's a different part of the city now, and yeah, they're very relaxed with Segways. Over in here, they're in the UK anyway, they're still illegal. You can't ride them on public domain. Whereas in Italy, at least anyway, you can ride them anyway.
Yeah.
I guess as long as you have someone who's got a license or something, you don't need to have a provisional, you don't have to do it in certain areas of the city, you can go wherever. So there's 4 of us being led by this wonderfully knowledgeable guy, and he's showing us the sights and sounds of Rome, and we're going in around piazzas and down street lanes and into parks and on the road, gnarly with the Italian traffic and Italian driving. But no, it's really good fun. So that's really good. Lovely coffee, tiramisu.
Oh, lovely.
Pasta, pizza, you name it, it was lovely. So yeah, really good. Back to reality, Dan.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing, because actually this week we are talking, see what I did there, we're not just talking about our reality, we're talking about perceived reality, at least online. And we talk about the dead internet, as I mentioned before, about 10 minutes ago. And, well, should you dive in?
Yep.
Talk about what it is?
I've got an intro.
Tell us.
Boo! Today, we're going to be exploring a thought-provoking topic that affects all of us who rely on the internet, the dead internet theory. Essentially, this theory suggests that the internet, as we know it, could collapse due to a variety of factors, leaving us without access to the vast amount of information and connectivity we currently enjoy. As content creators and podcasters, we're particularly interested in how much an event could impact our ability to reach our audiences and share our ideas. And beyond that, the dead internet theory raises important questions about our dependence on technology, the role of the internet in society, and what we can do to protect against potential threats. So stick around and let's dive into this intriguing topic together. Now, as you can tell, that's not our usual introduction.
It's not.
That was written by ChatGPT.
In, what, under 30 seconds or something?
Very much. I just typed and said, can you write an intro for this podcast about the dead internet theory? And that's what it did. The irony that I've used artificial intelligence to talk about artificial intelligence.
I know.
Takes the joy out of it a little bit.
It's Inception, and I guess that's kind of the gist of what we're talking about today. And it's just about how much of the internet actually is human curated. You know, we contribute to internet content by this very podcast and by our YouTube channel and by our blog. But there's the argument to say that soon, if not already, there's an inflection point which actually we are now the minority of internet content creators and the majority is AI.
Yes, and I think like any good conspiracy theory, there are elements of truth sort of peppered through this one.
I agree, yeah. And with, I just at the top of the episode say about how I'll get my tinfoil hat, and that people have gone too far to say actually to what end or to what means does the dead internet theory, kind of who does it service and who benefits from that. Now we will talk about it, but actually, as you say, Dan, I think there is some truth in here. So whilst it may be in our rabbit hole, as I call it on YouTube, there's a playlist, a rabbit hole kind of set of videos and episodes. This actually is now, and ironically, it's probably AI content that's driving the conversation. But I don't know about you, Dan, but I'm seeing an awful lot of conversation that's about AI on the internet and about what does that mean for us as content creators and authenticity of stuff we see, and are we consuming the right things, and actually do we know what we're consuming?
What I quite find fascinating is that a lot of algorithms are driven by AI. So what happens is it will feed you what you want to see, but then what might happen, it will start to feed you other things you want to see but take that out.
Yeah.
And then later on it will go, do you know what? I haven't given Dan this for a while. I'm going to put it back into his cycle of things he wants to see. It's quite fascinating. I think I saw that on a Netflix documentary. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah.
Because I will talk about that specifically when we talk about the inversion point and actually what that means for Google specifically, who are struggling to identify, and specifically with algorithms. But yeah, effectively, Dan, it's as you said, and there's some people that believe that this inversion point was about 6 years ago. So there's a train of thought that says that actually this has already happened, and the inversion point is a balance between human content creators, the authentic stuff, versus the AI. And that's where you get the concept of dead internet. It's not living, it's not created by me or you or you, the listener. It's by AI, generating AI for AI recipients.
It's quite fascinating.
There's a guy called Timothy Shoup from the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies that actually he says, no, actually we're not there yet, but by 2025 and 26, he said that nearly 99% of the internet will be generated by artificial intelligence. Now, I think that's a little bit too high, personally, because you don't just get rid of 7 point whatever billion people in the world. I'm not saying that all those 7 point whatever billion people have access to the internet, but if we say conservatively, maybe 3 billion do, they don't just disappear. This is not a Thanos endgame instant. So we're still going to be there interacting with it and creating stuff because we have a need as human beings to create and to share. But nonetheless, he reckons it is still going to be quite high, and that there is obviously some, as you say, about the algorithms. There are some real challenges with what decisions they make for us. Because, as you say, the traffic, we will seek out content, but traffic will also be directed to us, and we are dependent on those tools to give us the right stuff that we think we want or need.
Yeah.
In comparison, I mean, a recent report by security company Barracuda Networks, they think that only 30% or 36% of all internet traffic is human. So there's varying amounts, but they all kind of agree that there's a large percentage of bot-run AI content.
Oh, so annoying. So, do you get bots on Instagram? I mean, I know we get them sort of post on our content all the time.
Well, this is what I've got in my notes down, because you haven't got to look very far to actually see bot users.
No.
So yes, you've kindly blocked them on our comments because it got annoying when they'll say, "Oh, great episode. Go have a look here for more content." It's like, well,
DM for a share on, blah, blah, blah.
No, thank you.
And it's quite clever on Instagram, so you can go into your settings, go to your privacy, you can put in like phrases which will remove every time something like that comes in. Yeah. So if you like type in DM on and then save it, that comment will then disappear. But the other thing that I find annoying is that my personal Instagram is private. And
so you think?
Well, hopefully.
Yes.
But it just means no randomer can just follow me. I have to approve it first.
Yeah.
And recently, I seem to get like 6, 7, 8, it's usually women following me every day or trying to. And it's just like the generic stuff of, oh, hey, cutie, follow me and click this link. Ooh. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Don't click on that link.
You're not real. You're a bot. Get in the sea.
Or you're passing up all of these ladies.
Grinds my gears. Well, I don't.
You're not in the market, Dan.
I'm not on the market.
They should know better.
They
listen to this podcast. Yeah, well, there's that, but also I'm not sure if you've noticed. There's those really questionable adverts on, specifically I noticed on Facebook, but on Instagram, and no doubt they're in other platforms. But they're selling something that looks too good to be true. I'm not sure if you've seen those. What I mean, they're usually a gadget of some description. Light sensors. I'm not sure if you've seen those, where you can fit them anywhere. Maybe it's targeting me. It is targeting me, or like smart watches or emulator consoles. Have you seen those? And you look through it and you go, oh, only £50 or $39.99. You're like, that sounds really good. It emulates PS1, PS2, N64, Dreamcast. Like, that's amazing. And you look and go, that's too good to be true. And with the internet, aptly, assuming we're to the point where we don't know that, but at the minute, you still kind of get a feel for whether it's legit, and you go, that if I spend money, I'm not getting anything back in return, and probably I'm going to get my bank account rinsed. It's one of those things. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. And if you look at the comments, some of them are overly positive. They could say, well, they're human beings who work for the company or paid for to give them this product's amazing. I received it in 10 working days and it's the best thing ever. And I bought 5 for my family. And like, yeah, did you really? You know, like,
of course you did, beard.
Yeah, like it's just not a thing. But you look at some of them and you go, I think that's a bot. Because there's similar phrases like, this is so great, I'm going to share with all my friends. Or you see a couple of those comments dotted in the comments threads. You're like, that's categorically not real. But people can be obviously, you know, fed in to think that it's a genuine comment or a verified purchase, and it's not. And then people go, oh, well, there's no negatives on here, no one's complaining, and everyone's saying it's great. It's got to be great. I'll purchase. Well, that bot account user who's churned out a positive review, that's cost nothing for that company or that influencer business, whatever you want to call them, but that has generated revenue. And this is where it becomes a really challenging situation online to actually know what is legitimate and people are sharing their positive experiences, or conversely negative. I'm sure it's been used for nefarious means where people have wanted to sink competition and actually flood the competition with negative reviews, non-verified, to point them to the competition. And these days, you just cannot rely upon whether or not what you're reading is correct or whether other people have got actual verified, correct shared experiences. Yeah.
So, at the start of the episode, I sort of mentioned I bought a Spider-Man costume, proper cosplay stuff. It's a minefield, okay? So I went on to sort of several websites and you start to look at reviews. And you can sort of tell when something isn't quite as genuine. Yeah. It's not personable. You can sort of tell it's a little bit fake. And because it's such a minefield like that, I had to go and reach out to friends who have done cosplay. Because this is the first time I've dressed up as Spider-Man in a proper costume. You know, you want to get something that's going to be good and you want it to be real, you want it to be genuine. So I reached out to my friends and they said, oh, well, if you go to this website, you know, we all use it, it's good. So you sort of need that positive word of mouth from people you know.
And that's the key, is people that you know. And that's, I don't know whether post-COVID is a thing, but that could be quite challenging. You know, creating new relationships, I don't think they're as easy anymore, given the last couple of years that we've had. And how else are you going to be able to verify what you're looking for? And it's a real challenge. And if you think about all of the various different bot accounts out there, it all contributes to the concept of actually, if the traffic's being driven by AI content and peddled by AI users, who's benefiting from it? None of it's real, and it's being landed and pointed to other accounts that are not real. As you say, like, it's kind of like an AI inception, isn't it, really?
I mean, talking about content, I'll talk a little bit about AI art. It's quite a fascinating thing to sort of go down. So there's a recent surge in popularity of AI art, where open source AI software recently allowed users to edit real faces while generating art. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, because I think you've got something just sort of notice on your notes about deepfakes.
He's looking at my notes.
Yeah. I can't see anything else, Alex, because my eyes are shot. That's it. That's all I could see.
You need your glasses.
I do. It not only makes an existing deepfake problem potentially worse, because it disadvantages artists by easily and arguably dishonestly generating a craft that takes years to learn.
Yeah.
Because when you look at some of the stuff on YouTube, some of the deepfake stuff that people actually do is better than some of the deepfake stuff people do in actual studios.
Yes.
It's quite phenomenal.
It is.
So I think I saw someone do a young Luke Skywalker after Mandalorian Season 2, and it was better than what I was watching on Disney+.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. More recently, so this is more interesting, we're now going to dive into music a little bit. Music producers have expressed concern about AI music generators threatening the music industry itself. I mean, it's already on its arse because of illegal downloading. A lot of artists now have to make their money by going out on the road, selling merch and playing gigs.
Because they get bugger all from the streaming services, don't they? Like,
Spotify is one of the worst.
Yeah, it gives nothing to any of the record companies or the the record companies. Let's face it, they're all taking the money. They give a cut to the artists, but yeah, they don't get hardly anything, do they? And they get millions upon millions of streams.
Because when an album is sold, this is something I learned when I was at college when I did music. The label gets a massive chunk of the money, and then the rest gets divvied out to other people. So, the producers, the engineers, and then by the time the artist sees a bit of money, it's not a great deal.
Which, ironically, without them, probably would never have happened, because they've got either the talent or the ingenuity and the creativity. Which is why you get, I know, a bit of a tangent, but you get Taylor Swift re-recording some of her older stuff, but with a slight spin on it to get around Scooter Braun purchasing her whole back catalogue, which she hardly sees any revenue at all from.
Yeah, so 4 Years Strong, one of my favourite pop-punk rock bands, sorry my phone's buzzing, they re-recorded one of their first major albums and re-released it because they couldn't get their hands on the rights to that original album.
Right.
Which is mad. But actually, the re-recorded version was a hell of a lot better because some 13 years on, technology's better.
Yeah, and they've got experience and perhaps have a different view on things. But it's just interesting how already no one really makes an awful lot of money from music apart from the big companies that can bankroll it.
Unless you're a big band that can afford to go independent and just sell stuff yourself. But it's quite rare you see that. I know Angels and Airwaves did it for a while, but then they went to Rise Records. But hey, there's obviously something in it for them somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting that AI can actually threaten the music industry itself, even though it's already sort of on its arse, as we've sort of discussed. AI has even entered literature.
Yes.
With a book of poetry having entered bookstores already. Now, if anyone's interested, it is called Artificial Intelligence Penned Groundbreaking Sci-Fi Poetry Collection by Montreal author Bob Pellerin. A machine screenwriter named Benjamin has already written and released its debut film.
What?
Yeah. There are even robot journalists who have begun to churn basic news stories much faster. Which is quite scary because, again, you're sort of taking the job away from actual news writers. Yeah,
people who are scouring all news sources to bring you the stories as they break. And actually, why would you need to? You can just get a bot to sniff out the internet and tell you more quicker. I guess the challenge is, if what is being fed on the internet in itself is incorrect, how does that AI know that that's valid?
Yeah.
And it doesn't start to report on things that perhaps have been created by counter bot intelligence.
Yeah. It's quite scary.
It is.
How is it picking this stuff up if it's not already out there?
Exactly.
So, in theory, it could almost just make something up to sort of mislead you.
And this is where you grab your tin-foil hat. But
yes.
Essentially, and if you're in a state where perhaps you don't have free media, and there is the argument, of course, so no one has free media in these days, but if you're in certain countries that don't have access to independent journalism, should I say, that's a real problem.
Just going to put a disclaimer in as well before I read this next bit out.
Uh-oh.
We're not dead, and we're certainly not artificial intelligence. We are very much real.
Speak for yourself.
And alive. But there are AI podcasts that let us converse with dead people. I mean, this is starting to sound like that series on Disney Plus, Extraordinary, where one of the characters can bring dead people into her body and have
channel the dead.
It's a bit weird. Do we need that?
Some people might think they do, but I mean, I can't speak for what people need, but I don't think any good can come from that.
No. There's a place, I think it's got to be Japan. I'm sure it was in Japan.
I think I know where you're going with this.
I think you've probably seen this as well. There was a place where you can sort of record conversations. It costs a few thousand, from what I can remember. So when you inevitably die, your relatives can go see you alive and have actual conversations with you.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit weird. And again, I don't know if there's any need for that sort of artificial intelligence.
No.
Because surely you'd want to... I mean, this is my personal thoughts. I'd rather remember that person in that sort of... that, I suppose, in their life, you know, while they were alive. I don't want to go and see them as a hologram.
No. Because you'll know invariably they're not real, so then would that not kind of overwrite your natural memories of them? In, I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's not for me.
It might be for some people that listen to this, but...
And it can help people grieve, I understand it, but I don't think it's a particularly good way of continuing someone's memory.
Yeah.
But, I mean, each to their own, right?
But it's not just the tangible aspects of content that we can see, hear or interact with. And of course, as we mentioned, algorithms are influenced by AI too, and they determine who and what we get to interact with online.
Yeah.
Even the systems designed to root out AI-generated content that's misleading, well, you guessed it, uses AI, which is quite scary. I suppose this is a nice little segue into talking about deepfake, because recently I shared an image on our socials of Boris Johnson getting arrested, which is fake.
You can't tell whether it's real or...
It looks genuine,
yeah,
which is very scary. Like, it's got like the billowing like blonde hair.
Yeah.
He's got the shock on his face. He's got the coppers like,
manhandling him.
It's like 3 or 4 of them. It is insane. It looks like it's on a street of like posh London as well.
I mean, arguably you could say it's 18 months too late, and actually that should have happened. But anyway, we won't get into politics here on the topic. But yeah, it's quite shocking just how easily that was created. I don't think anyone bought into it, because I think it went out. I think the article you shared with me went out saying, look at how, you know, duplicitous it is, and how, you know, it's very easy to con people. But it's a great picture. It just proves the point, you know, so perfectly. And I guess as on the topic of deepfakes, I mean, have you seen the account on YouTube called Fake Keanu?
No.
Have you not?
No.
Oh, damn. Perhaps a listener has this, but it's a perfect example of how we're seeing users being manipulated, or their data is being used to gain followers through traffic. So Unreal Keanu, or Unreal_Keanu, has become hugely popular on, well, I see on Reels and Instagram, but it's also on TikTok, and he's got 440 million views so far, and Dan's looking as we speak. And
no way.
Yeah. And essentially this guy is doing funny things around the house, either to music, he's mute, so he doesn't say anything, because I guess he hasn't generated his voice. And Keanu doesn't really say an awful lot these days anyway in films, because it's all about the facial expression. And they're great. They're humorous.
He literally has deep faked his face, and it looks spot on. I
100%.
would genuinely believe that was Keanu Reeves.
And the guy's got his body shape and dresses like him. And for all intents and purposes, if you didn't seek him out and just came across, you go, that's Keanu Reeves, and he's fooling around on social media. But in actual fact, it's not. And this doesn't, by the way, I should say as a disclaimer, and not to send any hate to this account, because it's actually a parody account. It makes very clear in its name it's a fake Keanu. So it doesn't hide behind that fact. But yeah, it's interesting how those things just look so real. But there are some current limitations for deepfakes, Dan. A couple of things. If, say for instance, you're talking straight at me, face on profile, that can be almost, you can't discern reality from fake. But as I'm talking and the AI is generating my facial muscles, or it's replicating what he thinks is reality, if I move my head left or right, it breaks the illusion. It can't, for some reason, it can't keep the structure of the face on the left or the right profile in real time.
So it sounds a bit like when you use a Snapchat filter, because it's designed to cover the front of your face.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if you
yeah.
slightly move, you can
It
sort
breaks
of,
it and it
I mean, it's not
pixelates.
as good as deepfake, but it breaks. And you can
It's
sort
that
of
concept.
See, yeah.
But I mean, if that's the only limitation, they're not far off nailing full real-time rendering of this image, and it's only going to be a matter of months, if not years, if not months, before they get a full deep fake in real time, and that's in itself quite scary. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and if you look at the law, well, in 2002, the BBC reported a planned new law which will make sharing pornographic deepfakes without consent a crime in England and Wales.
Yeah.
Planning to. So currently, people can take the image of someone else, make them do whatever they want, not in reality, of course, but look like they're doing whatever they want, slap a face on someone doing something, and at the moment, that's okay.
I mean, if anyone wants to do that with my face, just make sure...
It's too late, Dan. I've done it.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Did you put me on a buff bloke?
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
I'll go with real life here. So
I'm chubby fat man, so...
No, I was going with true to life Adonis. But yeah, as it stands, it's not illegal to create a deepfake video. And we see, of course, those who are celebrity, inverted commas, most affected. I think that, for me, that's a significant shortfall, not just in technology, but also in legalities, because at the moment, technology is going so fast that we're not able to keep up with it.
Mm.
And I guess that's underpinning everything that we talk about in today's episode, is, do we really know what we are doing and what the dangers are to ourselves, and are we protecting ourselves enough? As you say at the end of the show, you'll share some public service announcements.
Some pointers.
And I guess to that point, it's probably time to talk about some Chat GPT, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So Dan, what's Chat GPT?
It literally is. It's like a chat room, isn't it?
Chatbot, yeah.
It's like a chatbot. So, I mean, you gave me the link, I logged in, and you can ask it to write literally anything. So, at the start, that whole segment that I read out, I asked ChatGPT to create that for me. It took a little bit of joy out of it, because it was that easy. So, why would I use it? But then it becomes a problem, because then you've got people at university, and I don't endorse this, because when we were at university, we wrote our dissertations, we did our 10,000 words.
We did our time.
We got books, we cross-referenced, we did all the X, Y and Z. It's that easy. Students can access it, get them to write their essay, and then all they've got to do is, I don't know,
top and tail, or add some bits.
Because I know some universities have this problem where it goes through like a scanning solution now, doesn't it? And it can sort of pick out anything that's been copied.
Yeah, plagiarised.
It's hard to pick up.
It is. Because with ChatGPT, and that's just one example that's with OpenAI, is the company that does it, and you've got to create an account to log in.
Yeah.
So some questionable aspects about what data you're giving them. But anyway, you can say anything. So conversationally, you can say, do this on that on A, B, and C in this style, and it'll take a couple of seconds, and it'll start typing, and it'll type it out. Now, as an example, Dan, perfectly valid, you churned out a really good opening introduction and episode description of this one, which I think is a perfect example of how that could be used.
I did a post for Twitter as well.
Right.
So this will go out with the episode, with a disclaimer that it's not us.
Mm.
So I said, can you write a short Twitter post about the dead internet for a podcast? And it literally came back within seconds. Is the hashtag dead internet theory fact or fiction? Join us on our latest podcast episode as we discuss the potential consequences of a world without internet. From social networks to business and communication, we'll explore the impact of a dead internet. Now, I did try and attempt to do it for Facebook and Instagram as well, but the posts were quite long-winded, so I'm not going to bother chucking that out there, because the whole idea of marketing and getting people to dive into an episode, you need to make it short and punchy.
You do.
No one's going to sit there and read a 2-minute paragraph about what we're up to.
But perhaps for next time you can say to Chat GPT, do a short description.
Yeah.
And refine it. And it will do that. And I guess that's my point. On my example, and I haven't shared this with Dan, so this is a bit of Alex story time, listener.
Love it.
Put up a chair, get your blanket round, cup of hot cocoa or tea, your comfy slippers, as I regale you with a tale, Dan, and a listener, of Alex and Dan, the podcasters who live in Southsea and Portsmouth.
Oh, I can't wait.
Now, I said to ChatGPT, write a story about Alex and Dan who hate seagulls called shitehawks and how they fight them.
Oh, wow.
So this is the story from ChatGPT about Alex and Dan. And it starts with this. Alex and Dan were two podcasters who'd grown up in the coastal town of Southsea. Well, that's an assumption there because I didn't, but you did.
Yeah.
But anyway, they loved living by the sea, which is true, with its bracing salty air and picturesque views. However, there's one thing they couldn't stand: the seagulls.
Fucking seagulls.
Locally known as the shitehawks, these birds were enormous and incredibly noisy. Their cries could be heard all across town, and they had a habit of swooping down and stealing people's food.
That sounds very true, although don't hear about that so much down on this end of the coast. Maybe more sort of Plymouth, Cornwall,
Dorset, Devon, yeah. Now one day, Alex and Dan had had enough. True enough. They decided to take matters into their own hands and set out to rid the town of the pesky seagulls. Armed with brooms and buckets of water, they marched down to the beach where the seagulls were known to congregate. At first, the shitehawks didn't seem to notice the two podcasters. But as they got closer, the birds began to take notice. Soon, the seagulls were circling above Alex and Dan, their wings flapping in the wind. Undeterred, the two podcasters swung their brooms, attempting to bat the seagulls away. But the shitehawks were too fast and too strong.
Oh, shit.
This is good, isn't it? Alex and Dan soon found themselves surrounded by a sea of feathers and beaks. Now, just when it seemed like all was lost, a group of local fishermen appeared on the scene. They had heard the commotion and came to lend a hand. Armed with nets and fishing poles, they quickly got to work. Now, together, Alex, Dan and the fishermen fought off the shitehawks. They chased the birds away from the town and into the open sea. Exhausted, but triumphant, the two podcasters collapsed on the sand. From that day on, the town of Southsea was a quieter and more peaceful place. The seagulls were being vanquished, and Alex and Dan were hailed as heroes. They even did a podcast episode about their epic battle, sharing their tale of bravery and determination with listeners all around the world.
Two thoughts. Firstly, we don't have sandy beaches down here on Southsea.
We have
pebbles.
we have a bit near
True,
the coffee cup halfway along the beach, but true enough, the majority is yes.
And the second one is, are we going to pitch that to someone to make a short film? Because that would be incredible.
That's a bloody awesome story there. And literally, listener and Dan, all I said was write a short story about Alex and Dan, who are podcasters, who live in Southsea, Portsmouth, who hate seagulls called shitehawks. That's all I said. So I never asked it to describe about the beach. Never asked it to describe about these amazing fishermen who came to our rescue. Nothing about that at all. And it came up with that in a matter of, 45, 50 seconds. It's a little bit longer than usual, because it had to create the content and the story and then to type it out. But it did all that with very minimal input. And I guess for me, that's where you've really got to ask, what's the value of it? And to your point, Dan, we could very easily go, right, we're just going to get AI to churn out our content or to save us some time, and that is humorous, and
yeah,
it's a brilliant piece of written work, written in inverted commas. But who's benefiting from that? I didn't put any of my heart, my soul, my charisma. Arguably, I have any, but I didn't put anything of it into me. So we may get the plaudits, but I didn't put anything of my creative influence into that.
No,
and in its truest sense, it's soulless. And that leaves me a little bit uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? Because it's people could pass, and they do pass off these things as their own stuff, but there was no human intervention apart from the concept.
Yeah,
the execution was done. A number of words, perfectly done, and it's learning, by the way. So I gave it feedback at the end and said that was great. It's gone brilliant. That's a great story. So next time someone asks me to write a short story, I'm going to use something like that.
Yeah.
And this is where I don't think we are smart enough at the moment to know what to do with the technology. And I messaged you whilst I was actually in Rome. I think we'd stopped off for a break on the Segway. And I shared with you something, I think, on there. And it's that Italy has actually, they are looking to ban ChatGPT.
It doesn't surprise me.
Because they don't know what it does or how it's going to impact society. It waters down the human creativity aspect, but they also are worried about knowing the validity of things. And in academia, as you say, they find it very difficult to actually stop people from using it as a shortcut means.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, I was in the kitchen with your wife, just sort of talking about marketing.
Oh,
yeah, you were setting up. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
We're up to no good. We're well behaved.
Okay.
So we were talking about marketing, and the fact that she said that she knew someone that sort of has concerns around AI and its use in marketing. But it's like I say, it becomes lifeless. If you've got a brand, an organisation, you've got a specific brand, you start using AI, it sort of takes away that personability.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it. Certainly, I mean, I do all of our social media myself. Everything I write is creative. It comes from the heart. Sometimes I might struggle with it, but if I can't figure it out, I'll go back to it later when I've suddenly get like a light bulb moment. Go,
yeah,
right,
fresh
that's it. Fresh perspective. Or I'll get my missus to help me because she works in marketing at the university. But I just couldn't imagine putting something out so generic.
Yeah. And the challenge is, at some point, we won't know what is generic and what is unique. And this leads us on to the inversion point.
Oh, here we go. It sounds like something from the comics.
Yeah, it does. Well, specifically, the inversion point is an interesting scenario. So currently we, or Google specifically, say that they can currently identify AI content as it's, they think at the moment, the minority of all the stuff that's on the internet. So look, all the stuff that's being created, there's typos here, there is certain creative tells in human beings, and that's the baseline.
Yeah.
And then anything that's perfect or isn't that creative or is standard, soulless, they go, that's AI. And they've got their own AI to sniff out and make certain things flag that's valid or invalid. But that's when you get the majority of users and the content human.
Yeah.
The inversion point is the flip side. So when AI content, either users or what they're creating, is the majority, that AI will no longer sniff out AI content because the new baseline will be AI. It will sniff out human content. And it will see that as the minority and go, that's not real. AI content is, because that's the majority. And guess what the algorithms do? They play up more of the AI content and filter out the human. And this is the inversion point. It's the tipping point between where it can accurately identify AI versus human created content. And then if you then multiply that with bots, bot comments and bot influencers, again in inversion comments, you can't see me, listener, it becomes even worse and compounded and filtered. And what we are creating becomes lesser so in the grander scheme and noise of the AI stuff. Now, there are fears of the inversion that they may be exaggerated, but as you said at the beginning of the episode, there are aspects of the truth in that. So we're not saying that actually none of what you see on the internet is real. Of course it is, and we can see people, we don't think they're deep fakes, on cams and the rest of it on YouTube and creating content. But there are things out there that actually are not real. They're generated voices. They are deep fakes. They are ChatGPT articles. There are stuff out there that isn't real. There's a report by a company called Imperva last year that found that nearly a quarter of all online traffic apparently is attributable to bad bots or bots that spread malicious attacks like web scraping, competitive data mining, personal financial data harvesting, brute force logic or logins, digital ad fraud, spam, transaction fraud, and more. So that's just the stuff they know about, and they think it's a quarter. So already you've got a range of different numbers floating around, 70%, 30%, 25%. But there is a consensus that there is a large enough number for us to be starting. I would say go grab your pitchforks and let's burn the internet and throw your laptops out the window and let's go back to carrier pigeons. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is there must be something in this. And I guess it's incumbent upon all of us to try and to understand how we can use these tools to better ourselves, to augment, I guess the term I'm looking for, augment the human creativity to make things simpler for us, but not to replace us.
Yeah.
But therein lies a challenge. How do you identify what you're consuming online is real? And are we well equipped to understand and to identify? And I don't know, Dan.
Well, it's a good job I got 3 little tips. So we've got through this episode and we're probably wondering, well, how do we see what's real, what's fake? How do we stay safe on the internet?
Yes.
1, you can use reverse image search. So this is very Catfish. This is what they do on Catfish, Neve, Max and whoever, to see who...
I've never seen a Catfish episode, by the way.
Catfish.
No, I understand the concept. It used to be on MTV, is that right?
Yeah. Still is.
Okay.
Still is.
But I understand kind of what the premise is.
You should probably watch the film first. So basically it was about Neve Schulman and he is basically on an online relationship and what he's being fed is fake.
Right.
So the pictures that she's sending isn't actually her, it's someone else. She's just gone to someone's Facebook profile and just taking these pictures off. So the whole point of the reverse image search is that it will allow you to see if it's real or not.
Right.
I mean, it might be real, but it might identify that it's someone else.
Oh, so it'll tell you where the source material originally came from, perhaps?
Precisely.
Okay.
So use tools like Google's reverse image search to find the origin of an image and see if it has been manipulated or repurposed. Very clever stuff. Number 2, fact-checking sites. Reputable sites like Snopes and factcheck.org can help you confirm the authenticity of a story or an image.
Okay.
So, if you get any more pictures of Boris getting arrested, could be real, but if you're not sure, go do your checks.
That's a good shout.
And 3, which is a good one, cross-reference. Check multiple sources and compare their coverage to determine the credibility of the information being presented. So don't just rely on your social medias.
Good lesson for life.
Look at things like your local news outlets. So, I use BBC a lot. If you're still unsure, you got Sky and so on. So 3 good tips there. So if you're ever unsure, use those. Stay safe. Look after yourself. And just, make sure it's real or fake.
Yeah. But I guess always question, I guess. And that's not a new concept, but I guess overall what we're saying is these tools, we don't quite know yet how they're going to influence our day-to-day.
No.
They can either help or they can hinder. And I guess it's for us to make sure we're always challenging what we're reading, what we're seeing, and questioning the value of it. Because no doubt these tools can help us do certain things, notwithstanding speaking to your dead loved ones. I don't quite know about that.
No.
But perhaps to save time or to help the creative process, perhaps. But yeah, there are other obvious ways of manipulating us to perhaps buy products or to be influenced, and I guess do some safe internet browsing and always question.
Got the power of knowledge in your hand all the time. So I'm waving my mobile phone around. So if you get fed something through a notification and you're not sure, just do those checks. Question everything, I suppose, is what you're trying to say.
Very good
stuff. What an episode.
Yes, very informative, but I think it's very topical at the moment, and it's everywhere. So yeah, an interesting one. But guys, if you want to learn any more about dead internet, deep fakes, ChatGPT, have a look around. Ironically, there's an awful lot on the internet that you can read on it, and there's lots of people questioning what's out there. So do some reading. Don't just take our word for it, although I like to think we're semi-reputable. But yeah, go have a read and go engage in the content, because it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay.
It is, and this has certainly been educational from this episode itself. Yeah. I've really enjoyed it.
Been a good one.
Really has.
But yeah, we've got other episodes in the pipeline.
We have. Hopefully we've got a couple of guests coming on soon.
We do.
Just trying to tie up dates with them. They haven't come back to me yet, but we've sent a couple of dates out to some people, and hopefully we'll have some local businesses on.
Yes.
As always, we're always interested to hear their stories and see where they've started, get to know them as people. 2 very good local businesses, might I add.
Looking forward to that.
Yep. John Wick 4.
Yeah, we'll get out to the cinema and do a review. But been out for a couple of weeks now, so it's about time we go out, do it on the go, and do a review. So looking forward to covering that one. So if any of you have seen it, get in contact, let us know your thoughts and feelings on it. It's had some good reviews.
Yeah.
And we're a fan of Keanu anyway, deep fake or otherwise.
There is a review from John Wick 3, I believe, all the way back in the weekly roundup days.
It is. And that was good fun.
How to get killed by a horse.
It was.
I believe.
Yes.
Very good. And we've got Guardians of the Galaxy coming up in May. I know you're not particularly a massive fan.
No, but it's the last of James Gunn. So let's see how that swan song plays out.
But I think we've got plenty to come up. We'll be celebrating our 5th birthday.
We will be going to the pub, no doubt. Not fighting scouts this time.
Oh, no.
Maybe. But otherwise still enjoying a beverage in a noisy pub to celebrate our 5th birthday.
I've been practising my windmill punches just in case. You never know. You
for
never
a
know.
rematch.
These scouts are well equipped for taking Dan Zilla down.
But otherwise, we've got to fight some shite hawks. So yeah.
Fun times. Well, if you want to get in touch, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok apparently. At On The Topic Pod. We have got email, which is onthetopicpodcast@gmail.com. And Alex, we've got WordPress and YouTube.
We have, yeah. WordPress is, I guess, for all intents and purposes, our website. So go have a look on topicpodcast.wordpress.com. It's got all of our content on there. So our ugly mugs, our bios. You've got affiliate content websites. Morbid and Mundane do some phenomenal t-shirts, hoodies and beanies. We've got our whole back catalogue, so everything that we've possibly done is all in one place. And our newsletter, so you can sign up and be notified when a new episode drops now. But if that wasn't enough, we are slowly but surely doing our whole back catalogue on YouTube, so there's literally no excuse not to subscribe and to listen to us. And our handle on YouTube is at OTT GITS, which is OTT Get in the Sea.
Love it. You're telling us to get into the sea.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, there's no reason not to follow us and to be notified when a new episode drops.
No. Catching up on YouTube, which is
We're nearly there.
Nearly there. 2 episodes a week. And at some point we'll be on par and we'll be dropping a new episode on a Friday. On YouTube as well as all our other platforms.
It's amazing stuff.
It really is. Well, that's it, Alex.
It is.
That rounds up for another week. I'm going to go learn how to deep fake Keanu Reeves onto my face. I've been Dan.
I'm looking forward to that. And I'm going to go and grab a broom and a bucket of water and go down to the seafront to fight some shite hawks. I'm Alex.
And we'll see you next time.